Well, hello! It's time for another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This is the show where I talk about the fountain pens and ink that I've been using throughout the week. So, let's dive into it. If videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And I've just got a couple of little things. You know, it's the holidays. I don't want to get into anything too deep. So I just want to encourage you to, if you have questions, I'm doing a Q&A next week. Post them. I have a link to where you can post them in the video description. And I'm hoping maybe Wednesday or Thursday. Ooh, actually, I think Friday is the 1st. So maybe I'll make that a New Year's Day video. I don't really feel like doing a top 10 this year. I just, everybody does a top 10. I don't feel like doing one. So let's dive into the pens. All right, so these are the pens that I've been using this week. We have from left to right, the Aurora 88 with the Giove finish, a Svanström's Royal, I think. Yep, although it does seem that the clip has moved a little. There we go. I don't know how that happened, but I'm fixing it. Ooh, actually, we'll cover up the little vent hole. Perfect. Okay, moving on. Senator Cummerbund, Quebeco Sport. I got these misaligned here. Waterman Hemisphere, Lamy 2000. A Montblanc 32. A PenBBS 355. And an Aurora Duo Cart. So, let's see how they write. As always, I'll be using my seafood-flavored Cognitive Surplus. And like I said at the beginning, I did not film this yesterday. Yesterday was the holiday break, and my brother called when I was going to start filming it, because it was going to be a little late anyway. But anyway, my brother called, so he won. You all lost. That's just the way it is. My brother, I don't want to be too identifying because it's his life, but he's a college professor at kind of a nice private college on the East Coast. So I don't get to see him very often. In fact, it's been years since I've seen him in the flesh. He's, well, thanks, COVID. I haven't really seen anybody this year. But yeah, it's just hard to get out there. And so I'm hoping next summer, hopefully COVID is past tense by then. So my first pen is going to be the Aurora 88. This is in the, sorry, I'm flipping my preview screen up just a little bit because I can't quite see it. This is in the Giove finish, which is a Jupiter, which, yeah, not seeing it, but when I saw this pen, I fell in love before I even knew what planet it was, so that's why I bought it. And it's getting towards empty. I will be really surprised if it has any ink in it next week. So this is an Aurora 88 with a wonderful broad nib. The ink in it is Birmingham pens. Twilight. Which is just kind of a really nice off purple that, you know, honestly, part of it is it's a little evocative because in its original form it was called Allegheny River Twilight. And I've told you before, I grew up in a town that was near the headwaters of the Allegheny River. In fact, the Allegheny River ran right through the middle of my town. So that's Birmingham Pen's Twilight. My next pen is a Swedish marvel. It's a Svanström's. Yes, this is the one where I fixed the clip. Kind of a nice little Swedish pen. This one may still have ink in it, but I'm trying to use all these pens up by next week. There's only one of these I'm truly worried I won't be able to. One thing this Svanström brings to light, Svanström, sorry, this is this ink is Parker Quink Washable Blue. At least that's what the box said. Now, I don't have the box anymore. I just have the bottle. The box kind of, I opened it so much, the box just kind of wore out, and I finally threw it away. The box said Washable Blue, so I don't have any indication on the bottle if that's the case. But a lot of commenters have pointed out that it's kind of dark for Washable Blue, and I have to agree. So I don't know if this really is Washable Blue anymore, but we're just going to go with that till I use up the bottle. One of the pens tonight actually seems to have washed something out of the feed. I don't know if it was just bad pen hygiene on my part, or I did everything right and I just wasn't able to get the pen totally clean. I don't know. But this is a very dark blue, and my memories of Parker Quink Washable Blue are a very faded blue. So I know at various points Parker has made a Parker Quink permanent blue, so I don't know, is that what this is? I don't know. So this next pen has the same ink in it, but you're going to see it, it's going to look more blue-black. And the reason is, I think there may have been something else in this pen. So this is the Senator Cummerbund, because with these vintage Senator pens, I often don't know their models. And this belt here, I just decided looks like a cummerbund on a tuxedo or something. When I filmed the video, I misspelled cummerbund, and I have felt stupid ever since. But this is theoretically Parker Quink Washable Blue. I have myself on video filling it from that bottle, so I know I didn't fill it from something else. But as you can maybe see here, and will probably be able to see on the swatch, it definitely has a more blue-black character, and that's what makes me think that this ink has been washing something out of the pen that maybe I didn't get out before. Yeah, you can definitely see it's a more blue-black, but it's not Parker's blue-black, because Parker blue-black definitely has kind of a greenish cast to it, so not a bad color, just not what's in this bottle. Okay, in response to some comments I had on one of my pens and uses, I got talked into inking up this Quebeco Sport. And I will admit, out of my Quebeco Sports, it's not my favorite. Why didn't I ink up my favorite? I don't know, but this is the one I chose to ink up. And, it's, Kaweco has a little niche. I really enjoy their vintage pens. Some of their modern pens, like the Kaweco D, I could take or leave. I like the Sport model as a pocket pen, but as a pen for long writing sessions, no. This one's just a little too dry, I want to say. And sometimes with their broader nibs, I find that they are very skippy. So this ink is Kwz Menthol Green. Probably not a color I would have bought on my own, but I ordered, I forget what, some kind of violet anyway from Kwz, and was sent this instead, and I'm just like, yeah, that's not violet. So I wrote to Van S Pens, because that's who I bought it from, and said, hey, guys. And so they let me keep this bottle rather than send it back, and they sent the correct bottle to me. This bottle was actually not labeled, so, it was just kind of a wild guess what the heck it was, but it seems to match Menthol Green the best. And I always think, when a company gets things right, you really don't know. You just know, okay, they got it right, and that's what I expect. It's when a company messes up that you really get a good indication of what kind of company they are. I was listening to Douglas Rathburn today, and I won't mention the company, but he specifically mentioned some bad customer service he got from a pen dealer. And, I'm happy to say that's not the experience I had with Van Ness pens. And yeah, they're all going to mess up at some point. Goulet Pens is messed up for me. Anderson's is messed up. I don't think Jet Pens is messed up for me. But, they've all messed up at some point. And they're usually bent over backwards to make it right. And that's how it should be. That shows good service. Because like I said, when you do it right, you don't usually know. It's when there's a mistake and you see how it's handled. And what if the mistake's on my end? Although, as a customer, that's a little hard, but, it could be one of those deals where, oops, I thought I ordered this, and nope, I ordered this. All right, so my next pen, I'm going to try to use up my Baystate Blue this spring, so I'm going to use it as my daily writer ink, at least at school, and it'll be in this pen, because this has been my Baystate Blue pen. I need a pen because it's a very feathery ink, so I need a pen where it's not going to feather much, and this Waterman Hemisphere fits the bill. I have this fetish for using up inks right now, and this was one I was realizing the other day, hey, you could get there with this ink this spring. So, we'll see. And I won't be replacing the ink. I may do some chemistry experiments with it too that'll end it prematurely. I had some questions. I think I've told you I'm doing a Q&A sometime over this break, and I got some questions on there about the chemistry of Baystate Blue. So I got to be careful because some of the chemistry I don't have the tools to analyze. But I thought it might be interesting just to watch it mix with some other inks and make some sludge. So we may be making some sludge here in a couple of days. But anyway, it's a nice bright blue. It just comes with more baggage than I like. So when I use this bottle up, I won't be buying any more. And honestly, is this the only bright blue I own? No. So I don't really see a reason to replace this. At home, of course, like I said at the beginning of the year, I don't know if it was really COVID-related reasons, because the reasoning would be kind of questionable there. But at the beginning of the year, I decided, hey, I'm going to have at-home pens and at-school pens, and neither of the twain shall meet. And I thought it'd be a way to have a variety of pens at home and a variety of pens at school. Well, it turns out that the ones at school I don't use very many of them, so I shrank that down to 2 pens. But I also discovered that I've been doing a lot of writing with the school pen and not so much with the home pen for my black. Although now it's going to be Baystate Blue. So this is my Lamy 2000, and this has a fine nib on it. I do like this model. It's a wonderful daily writer. This is a little broader than the original one I own, but I've told you the story about how the original one I owned fell nib first to the floor, and that was that. So the ink in this one is Pelikan Edelstein. And I'll just be honest, part of my thought with putting this ink in this pen was, hey, maybe I'll use up that bottle of ink too. But since this pen hasn't been going to school and getting used there, it's not getting the usage the way I thought it would. maybe over this break. So I'm not using this ink up as quickly as I would like. And is there a big difference between Pelikan Edelstein Onyx and Pelikan 4001 Brilliant Black? Probably. But to my eye, just writing on the page, I don't see much difference. So then I have a Montblanc pen. This is my one and only true Montblanc. I do have a couple Monte Rosas, which is their student version. This is a Montblanc 32. Just kind of has that nice classic look I like. It also is very stingy with the ink, so it takes forever for this pen to run empty once I start writing with it. But I do see, holding it up to the light here, which does you no good, I do see that it's close, so I don't think, actually a lot of these I don't think you're going to see next week, because most of them are pretty close to empty. So the ink in this one is Colorverse. Let's correct this here. Colorverse. Pale Blue Dot. I enjoyed, it was a special edition of 4 inks. I'd been curious about Colorverse. Their packaging and their names just kind of had me curious. So I scratched that ink buying this one special edition. And I enjoyed some of them. This is one I happen to like. Some of them I don't care. But the nice thing was they were small bottles that I can use up, hopefully. And, have fewer bottles of ink around. Let's see. I have one over here. I'm kind of bending over way to the side. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so, these Colorverse bottles, I do realize they sell bigger bottles, but they're small. And it's getting hard in some of these bottles with the inks I really like to fill them. And then I have these Iro Shizuku bottles, which I'm also trying to empty out because I went on a splurge spree a few years ago and bought way too many of these. So I'm just trying to shrink the collection of inks. I have more ink than I will ever use in my life, and I don't know why it bothers me, but it bothers me. So I want to shrink the collection down so it all fits on this shelf that you see, you don't see right now, but you would normally see behind me when I'm on the other camera over here. And then I have, make sure I'm going in order here. This is my PenBBS 355. May or may not still be in use next week. The ink level did go down significantly this week, and I actually gave it a few weeks off because I was getting bored with it. Kind of wish I'd put a broader nib in it, but this is a Nemosine 0.6 stub. And that's one of the problems with some of these exotic filling mechanisms. Sometimes you get tired of the ink before the pen runs out. And, it would be okay if this was like my daily writer and I was doing all my writing. Oops, UN. If I was doing all my writing with it, I'd be okay with the fact that it's slow to empty out. But, when it's just a fun ink with a, it's a good-looking pen, it's a good-looking ink, it's a nice-looking nib, but I'm bored. I was just curious recently. I knew I always want to call them COVID. Conid bulk filler. I knew they had suspended production for a while so they could catch up, and it looks like they are still at that point. I would at some point like to try a Conid bulk filler. I don't know that I want to pay for one. This is a nice looking pen, but it doesn't have the refinement like a Conid bulk filler would. It's yes, it's got a similar idea in the filling mechanism, but it's not the same thing. And yeah, I just want to try one. I hear what great pens they are and how some people say, yeah, that's my everyday carry pen because what more do you need? And I want to try one someday. So maybe when they start producing pens again, I'll get the chance. Okay, my last pen, one of you talked me into buying. I owned an Aurora Duo Cart. It was one of the first ones that came out of the new edition. It came with the vintage packaging. And I got talked into buying a new one. I was told that they have updated the model a bit. So, I need to do that video at some point where I compare the two versions. But anyway, for now, this is the Aurora. Let's give you a little more room here. Aurora Duo Cart. I believe it has a medium nib because you don't get a choice with this model. And the ink in it is Kyo-no-oto Urahairo. I actually really like these Kyo-no-oto inks. I don't know why, but, I've been like, no more ink buying. But if they came out with a new color, I think I would break that vow. I have no other ink in my collection that is this color. This is just a very nice, subtle color. And they have a few colors like that. You just, wow. Oops, HA-IRO. I think this one is like the underside of leaves or something, but don't quote me on that. And a DuoCart is just a very nice, comfortable pen to hold. You can see it's Origins with the classic Aurora 88. And just a good pen. So before I go back to camera A, I just want to show you, I've been trying to catch up on pen pal writing. So when I walk down to the post office tomorrow, I'm dropping off these and a few more that I'm finishing up yet tonight. So that's one of the things I've been working on now that I've had a break. I let a lot of things get ahead of me since about November, because all these pen pal letters I'm responding to are dated from like the beginning of November or later. So it was about then that things got ahead of me. If you saw the living room right now, the housekeeping is a little ahead of me too. So working on catching up. Another project I ran into. Now I've had this Parker Vacuumatic, and you've seen it on the channel. I don't love the nib, but whatever. So I recently purchased another one. Now I'm noticing right away that this other one is a little bigger, the one on top. So I got to figure out what size it is. But anyway, I was looking at, a couple of things. One, when I first saw this model, I wanted one with the blue diamond on the clip because I thought that looked good. I finally have that. I think this one has a little bit broader nib, so I think I'm going to like it better. The only problem is, it looks like this part works, this little plunger, but it doesn't. It does not draw ink at all. It does not bubble. It does not do anything. So I need to do a pen repair. So I'm going to have to look up online, probably Richard Binder's website. I'm going to have to look up how to repair and resack a Vacuumatic. It's a different deal from your typical lever filler, and I don't have the correct sack for it, so I'm going to have to order one of those. So. But I think it'll be a good experience for me. This is a kind of repair I've always thought, ooh, that may be beyond me. And I guess we're about to find out once I get the parts in that I need to repair this. So that'll be kind of fun. So those are the pens and inks that I've been using this week. Like I said last week, I'm trying to wind down my whole selection of pens and inks. I always try to do that this time of year, and I think I'm going to be able to. A lot of these pens are almost empty. So I wouldn't be surprised if the next time I do a pens in use, they're mostly a new set of pens. Although admittedly, the Lamy 2000 will probably get refilled with the same thing. But other than that, so I just had a couple of things. I'm going to open up my Evernote just so I don't forget something. First of all, I want to remind you that in my video description following the list of pens, I do have a link to a Google form where you can put your questions. It only asks for your questions and how you want to be referred to, if you want to be referred to. And no other information's collected there. And if I get a trolley question, then the trolley question will not appear in the video. So I want to get that done. So I'm thinking that that'd be a good New Year's Eve video or New Year's Day. So I probably want to film it either Thursday morning or Wednesday evening. So if you have questions, feel free to plop them in the form, and we'll see how it goes. In other exciting news, I guess not so exciting, actually. Luckily, not as tragic as I was afraid of when I first heard about it. There was quite an explosion in Nashville today. Sounds like, well, at first they were saying there were no injuries, a lot of property damage, but no injuries. But it sounds like they have found some human remains. Sounds like they also have a person of interest, so it sounds like they're saying that it's a terrorist act. So hopefully they get the person or people who did that. This isn't a country where that should be happening, so we need to deal with those people right away. And I know I probably have a few viewers in Tennessee, so I would say hopefully you're well, but there weren't really any injuries, so hopefully you were not affected by the blast. And my other topic I have is actually an article I read on the conversation. And you get articles of varying quality there, but this one was by a New Testament scholar, and it seemed somewhat seasonal, so I thought I would share a couple of the highlights from it. What the title is, Why the Gospels Are So... No, that's not the title. That's what I wrote as the title. Why the Gospels Disagree Over Christ's Birth. So, this isn't going to be a religious thing, really. I want you to look at this more as an artifact of its time rather than religion or religion bashing or anything. So first of all, there are, if you're a New Testament person, there are 4 Gospels. These are the ones that talk about Christ's ministry here on earth. The rest of the books of the New Testament focus on other people. Like Paul wrote a lot of them as letters to people, or he may not have written all of them, but a lot of them are claimed by him. But why do we need 4 books of the Bible? Because, think of the Bible as a collection of books rather than as a single work. A collection of books with many different authors. So why do we need 4 different books to talk about Christ's ministry on earth, and specifically his early days, which, we're celebrating the holiday season. That would be what inspired it. Although, if you read the Bible, it did not happen this time of year, but that's another story. Why we celebrate it at the time of a pagan holiday. But like I said, that's another story for another time. So each of them have different emphases, and of course there's a lot of contradictions. And the article gets into some of them. I don't want to go there today because that just wasn't interesting to me today. There's a lot of people that have done that better than I would anyway. And better than this article has. I want to think about what's happening at this time. At the time that this all supposedly took place, Israel had been conquered by a foreign power. They were ruled by Rome. And there were revolutionaries popping up saying, yeah, we're going to get the Romans out. Whoops, they crucified me, darn it. And also there's some suggestion that Jesus may have been one of these revolutionaries if he existed. There's a lot of conversation about that. But what you have going on in Israel at the time are some other interesting things. One of them is they are looking for a Messiah, somebody prophesied by God that's going to come and overthrow Roman rule, which, by the way, Jesus did not do. And also at the time this was written, birth stories and genealogical claims were used to establish your right to rule. I can't go be King of England. Prince, I forgot his name. William, there it is. Prince William can go be King of England because he's got the right lineage. What was interesting is, if you actually read them, only the first two, Matthew and Luke, ever mention the town of Bethlehem. Now, Bethlehem in Israel makes a lot of tourist money most years because of people trying to make pilgrimages there this time of year. This year, thanks to COVID, not so much. And the other two Gospels never really mention. In fact, nowhere else in the Bible is Bethlehem mentioned. I think it's John. There's a little bit of a discussion of some argument among scholars, but no real mention of Bethlehem anywhere else. Now, what's interesting, oops, I'm using a device here that's got my notes on it, and it keeps turning off on me. Are you sure you want to delete this page? No! So anyway, the second king of Israel, so you go back into the Old Testament, so this is the guy that followed Saul, King David was actually from Bethlehem. So they were immediately giving a link to this Jesus guy. We're saying, look, he's got some legitimacy. He's from the same place as David. I don't know why that doesn't apply to anybody from Bethlehem, but that's another story. So they're trying to link Jesus with David, but again, and it wants to know if I want to delete the page again. I just need to stop touching it. Again, doesn't that whole I'm the son of God rank a little higher than, yeah, I'm distantly related to King David? I don't know, but think about it. We're looking at this from the modern day, the Christian perspective. Back when this was written, was that what they were trying to say? Or was there a different emphasis back then? There were groups back then that were looking for an everlasting ruler from the lineage of David. And the author specifically makes reference to chapter 4 of the book of Ezra. So, yeah, we got to link him to David. But then the book of Micah prophesies the Messiah will be from Bethlehem. And the book of Matthew is really big on prophecy. And see how this guy fulfilled all these prophecies? So of course they're going to bring up Bethlehem. Mostly through the Bible, if Jesus is referenced as being from anywhere, he's referenced as being from Nazareth. Jesus of Nazareth. And a lot of the books do mention that he's part of David's line, but only 2 say he's from Bethlehem. So it's kind of goes back to what's the book trying to accomplish. Well, look at where the next 2 Gospels, Mark and John, pick up. They don't really care about Jesus' early days. You know, that whole getting born, the whole manger thing, the whole... Well, it wasn't necessarily 3 wise men, but the wise men thing, not even mentioned in the other books. In fact, the manger thing is only in one of the books. The wise men come visit Jesus as a child at his house. Now, maybe, he was born in the manger and then went back home, but, they don't get into the whole manger thing. So, the Christmas mythology, a lot of that has been pieced together from the most palatable parts of the 4 Gospels. Only 10% battery left, so I better hurry. So the story has really evolved. So it came originally from a Jewish prophecy, and I would say that this would have been a hopeful sign at a time when Israel was ruled by the Romans. And none of this was really planned out as, okay, here's the founding mythology of this new religion we're going to create. No, these are stories that kind of got cobbled together, and later on somebody said, okay, now let's make it work. Which would be a whole topic to get into one of these days. And of course, when you do that, it never comes out as cleanly as you would like. So I guess what I wanted to say, the reason I brought this up, it was an interesting article to read, and just that whole idea of how this mythology grew, and the fact that most of the books don't even mention this Bethlehem story. Only one of them has the wise men, the slaughter of the innocents. The wise men are like, "Hey, King Herod, there's this Messiah that's going to be born. He's going to be king of all the Jews." And Herod's like, "Well, I'm just going to kill all the firstborn boys." No record of any of that. And there's the whole problem of, when did these kings actually rule? Does the Bible agree with history? Well, no. The Bible takes kind of a loosey-goosey view of history, where sometimes it matches, sometimes it doesn't. But I think because this is a faith that has a lot of influence in this country right now, it's good to at least know a little bit about it. And what's interesting is a lot of people don't actually know what's in their Bible. So they're here celebrating Christmas. They don't actually know what the Christmas mythology is in the Bible. And, even the whole idea that, no, Jesus was not born on December 25th is a totally new concept to them. And I think it's interesting, too, back then, again, we're looking at the culture, how lineage was so important. I won't say it's not important now. I mean, I'll never be governor of North Dakota because I'm a nobody. I don't come from a North Dakota family that's got its name splashed all over buildings in Fargo like Doug Burgum does. I won't say it's impossible for me to be president, but not too likely. And even you look at a lot of or did I say president? I meant governor. I'm sorry. Even look at a lot of our presidents. Now, some of them come from fairly humble beginnings, but a lot of them had a lot of connections and a lot of advantages the rest of us don't have. So this giving genealogies, this giving connections, that's all part of bolstering Jesus' claim to be whatever the author was trying to claim he was. And I don't know, I just find it interesting. And that whole actually reading and thinking, oh, wait a second, here it said this, here it said this, they don't match. Or noticing that they give a whole genealogy of Joseph, but that would be the man who raised Jesus, but Joseph wasn't his father, according to at least one or two of the books. So it just, the more you think about it, you're like, ooh, yeah, we needed a good editor back then, and they didn't have one. So, but it gives us all something to argue about now. Theologians, that gives theologians all kinds of jobs, and gives the rest of us something to go, what? So, anyway, I don't care if you celebrate Christmas in a religious way or not. I enjoy the holiday thing. You can tell, I even put twinkle lights. You don't get the full effect because of these lights that are on me here, but I even put up twinkle lights in my south-facing windows just to have a little bit more festive-looking house, but it does make the living room very bright at night, so probably taking them down soon, but it was kind of fun to have them up for a few days. I was told from a distance it looks like my house is on fire. So there is that. But anyway, I wish you all happy holidays, and there will be more squirrel magic coming. I was going to film this last night, and my brother called. So I talked to him instead of filming this. But here I am. I've done it. I'm working on filming some more videos. I've got a slew of pens over here. I'm going to get some videos made ahead so I'm ready, and so I don't get overwhelmed or behind on videos again. And we'll just see where the year takes us. I've got all next week off. I have to work one day next week. Yay. But I'm going to be doing some schoolwork too, just to get ahead there also. But I do want my downtime too, so I'm going to make sure I get some of that. So anyway, happy holidays. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.